I mean, there is a way to coexist, but, we're on the footsteps of the fourth industrial revolution. These AI models have extreme military value. The idea that the government's going to try to strike a balance is ludicrous. What they're going to do is that they're going to, take this divide and they're going to amplify it into a dialectic, and they're going to create, their homegrown terrorists, these anti-AI activists, and they're going to use it in order to cause disruption, and then point to that and say, well, we need to override, we need to take away states' rights in order to build these data centers.
Decentralized, got to realize, don't decarbonize. Decentralized, decentralized.
Welcome to today's episode of Decentralized TV here on brightvideos.com. I'm Mike Adams, and I'm joined today by our co-host, Todd Pittner. Welcome, Todd, to the show.
Greetings as always, Mike. It's been a week, but man, oh man, we've been pumping them out, haven't we?
Well, a lot has happened in these days. In 1 week, a lot happens.
I know.
But let me just address the elephant in the room, which is this TRS-80 sitting here on my desk. Can you guys show this shot with this computer? Okay, there it is. All right. The reason I have this here is because today our special guest is, one of the most brilliant minds in coding and agentic coding and AI, and he's also a whistleblower, a former Google engineer, and we're going to see if he remembers this. This is a Radio Shack special from the 1980s, I believe. But our guest today, let's just bring him in. It's Zach Vorhies. Welcome, Zach, to the show.
Mike, good to be back. Thank you for having me on.
Hey, it's great to have you back. I can't wait for this conversation. But question right up front: does this system ring a bell to you at all? This right here
looks like one of those Atari or TRS-80 computers that are from the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, and let's see. I think it has a special surprise in it right here: 5.25-inch floppy with Lotus 1, 2, 3. Ah, there you go, Zach. What do you know? This is
the original Office.
Right. If this existed today, somebody would call it AI, right? But it's not. Anyway, welcome to the show, Zach, and welcome, Todd. We have a lot to talk about, so let's just dig in. Zach, you don't need any introduction, but let me give out your websites here. We have GoogleLeaksBook.com. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, Google Leaks, Whistleblowers Expose of Big Tech Censorship. And then we also have ZachVorhies.com, where people can find you, and we'll talk about your social media a little bit later. But Zach, start us off here. This show is about decentralization, and you and I, we've talked offline. We're both very concerned about the possibility of open source AI being heavily censored or even banned in the future, which would deprive people of local compute, and they would have to work through the cloud, which could be controlled. How concerned are you about this?
This is a major one of my concerns. One of the big things is that, the government has been conducting lawfare against these open source repositories like Z Library, Anna's Archive, and the like, and basically shutting the trap door after the big tech companies have gotten in and drained all of the data of value. And then, the government comes in and says, you can't do that. And all these civil rights, companies come in and say, yeah, that's unfair. We should ban it for everyone. And so what they're doing is that they're trying to, it's a 1-2 punch. The big tech companies come in, they get the data, they train their AIs, on it. And then the government comes in there, commits lawfare, and shuts the trap door so that all the academics, all these individuals that want to create their own, AI systems, they can no longer access the information necessary in order to train these models, so that the only model that you can use, if they have their way in the future, are these, big tech cartels like Anthropic or Google's AI model or OpenAI's model, and that the local inference won't be able to compete with the big boys. Now, what's really interesting is that China has decided not to play this game at all. They've been allowing their data sources to proliferate. They've decided to not burn their own libraries of Alexandria and make them freely available. At this point, about half to 2/3 of the available open source information that's out there is in the Chinese language. And in the future, it may reach up to 90%. And one of the big tests of capitalism is whether they're going to sacrifice human progress, our collective human progress, at the altar of the fourth industrial revolution for their profit lust. And what's really interesting right now is that you can run a lot of these models. They are open source. A lot of the Chinese models are open source. Meta sort of abandoned their open source contribution to the collective when they fired Yang Kun. And now if you want to get the cutting edge open source AI models, you're turning to Qwen, you're turning to DeepSeek, and you're able to load those up from Hugging Face, run it on a local powerful machine. Keep in mind, this won't run on your normal gamer rig. You have to have specialized hardware that you purchase directly from NVIDIA, something with like 96 gigabytes of RAM, at the starting point. And when you can run these models locally, then you're going to be able to get inference. And what's really concerning to me is now all of a sudden, you see people like Elizabeth Warren, they were saying, well, we need to stop these AI data centers, which was never going to happen. Like, this is the fourth industrial revolution. These data centers are going to be built. Now they're switching their narrative from we need to stop these data centers to we need to start taxing everybody that's using artificial intelligence. Now,
What?
yeah, that's like the new thing today. I think that that's actually going to be the method that they're going to do. They're going to tax these things. And what we're going to end up is we're going to end up with more taxes and still everybody out of a job, with rent being
Right.
due and their credit card payments being due. And that seems to be the future. Now, if you're using these things, these centralized AI services like Anthropic's Claude, Google Gemini, OpenAI's Codex, you're going to be paying this tax because, there's essentially only three main cartels that you could be paying it to. But eventually what they're going to be doing is that they're going to have these commissars. They're going to be coming and they're going to be like, well, what's on your data servers? What are you, why are you sucking all of this power? What inference, are you running? In kind of a similar way that they do it for marijuana interdiction, they're going to have AI interdiction where they're going to be like, well, what models are you running? And we need to know because we need to assign you a tax so that we can tax all of this cognitive labor that's being generated by these models.
Well, hold on a second, Zach. Are you saying, I can understand that taxing the AI API usage on a per token basis or per million tokens, like that would be relatively easy from an accounting point of view. You tax the hosting company. But what I do and what you do, what we all do, we download these Chinese models, which are very good, very capable. Qwen, from Alibaba, or even DeepSeek if you've got enough hardware, or whatever, or the earlier versions of DeepSeek. We run this on local hardware, and nobody can tax it. Nobody knows how many tokens we're generating. As long as you're willing to buy the hardware, are you saying they're going to find some way to try to criminalize local AI? How would they even tax local AI?
Not at first, right? They're going to start with the easy sources, like the centralized AI inference, distributors, like Anthropic
Or OpenRouter. What about OpenRouter? Yeah.
Right. But eventually what they're going to do is they're going to come down the line, right? Like you got the second tier, like Mistral, which allows you to generate your own AI inference. That will be sort of the second tier taxation targets. And then eventually what they're going to do is they're going to come all the way to the little guy that's running his own server. The power signature is very, particular. You're either, making drugs or running AI inference. They'll probably be, handled by the same ATF. Maybe they'll have to add another letter onto their acronym. And they're going to come in and be like, well, you've got unlicensed artificial intelligence that's running. You need to be licensed. You need to be probably booked in a night of jail with a bond and then, appear before a court. to explain why you haven't licensed the artificial intelligence models that you've set up and are running at your farm.
Oh my God. Well, okay. So Todd, have you ever heard that term for unlicensed artificial intelligence technology? This sounds like a dystopian sci-fi novel, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, my takeaway from what you just shared, Zach, was eventually I need to learn Chinese, A, and B, Mike, I got your back. I will make bail for you.
Will you? Yeah. Because I'm running a ton of open source models. Yeah.
So Zach, when you first exposed issues inside Google, censorship still largely revolved around search rankings and platform moderation. Today, AI systems are increasingly becoming the interface through which people understand reality itself. So my question is, are we moving from information control into cognitive control? And if so, can you unpack what cognitive control is?
Wow, that's a big question. How do I unpack this? I would describe myself as essentially one of the first AI whistleblowers.
Yep.
They think that I was, blowing the whistle against Google. I was actually blowing the whistle against Google's use of artificial intelligence. And the
machine learning
is,
fairness.
Yeah. And,
Right.
what their AI ethicists were doing was that they were planning out this 4-step process in order to program people. In fact, it was clearly laid out in my book. The data is collected, aggregated, and then filtered, and then ranked. And then the 4th step is people like us are programmed. Like those are their exact words. And it was littered throughout through the company. And it's very clear what they were trying to do. They want to control individuals, what they're able to see, what they're able to think. They think that our influence and our decisions are based upon the information that we see online. And so if they can control that upstream information flow, they can control what it is that each individual person thinks, because we can only, our cognitive space can only exist in the information space that contains it. And so if you don't hear something like the Georgia Guidestones, you're going to be like, well, wait a minute. What do you mean that there's a, declared, population limit that the elites have, written out, right? It doesn't even compute, doesn't make any sense until you get that information and you see the background of what they're trying to do. And so, what they're trying to do is that they're trying to do cognitive control. Right now, it's going to be filtering the information that you get. And eventually it's going to reach all the way into the, Neuralink implant device, the Neuralace, so that they will make sure that you're not having wrong thoughts, or at least they're able to detect, wrong thoughts at the wet layer, the brain, the neurons, what it is that you think. That's eventually what their ultimate goal is going to be.
Oh man.
Well, and we've seen it before, right? Except at a different level, kind of the on-ramp to cognitive control, which is simply the mainstream narrative. Whenever you turn on the news, my number, Mike, 98% of us don't have, or percent of the people don't have the ability to critically think. They just get their downloads from the mainstream. So AI is just becoming another form of controlled mainstream to get people to think like the elites want them to think. Would you agree, Zach?
Yeah, you've got all these broadcast channels, right? And this broadcast channels are broadcasting misinformation, malinformation, that's getting to the soft minds of the populations. Meanwhile, all of the valuable information is being traded on these private channels, right? You go to the country club and somebody tells you about an upcoming sale that's about to take place, and you get on it before the public is aware of the incoming value that's going to be generated. And then by the time that they let everybody else know, it's already too late. All of the value has been absorbed by this insider class. And they want to do the exact same playbook with, artificial intelligence. In fact, all these AI companies, they've had private investment. You as a public investor cannot go in and buy a share of these companies. And by the time they go IPO, largely the party is going to be over. All this money is going to be wrapped up in these, financial institutions that were there first.
Wow. I like what you said. Soft minds. I've never heard that before, describing what I would call the 98 percenters. I think that's perfect.
Let me jump in with the data center question here, because of course, Zach, all of us here, we're not anti-technology. We use technology every day. We're using it right now. And Zach and I are AI developers on a daily basis, right? It's one of the number one things that we do. But data centers are encroaching on human resources, clearly, in many ways. You know, taking water and electricity or displacing people's homes, like what's happening near Lake Tahoe. We've seen those announcements. And there's a lot of noise pollution. There's a lot of light pollution, et cetera. And I've seen that some branch of the U.S. government is now designating protesters as, I think, anti-technology domestic extremists if you protest data centers. So, Zach, my question to you is, is there a balance to be found here where we can still have data centers for AI inference and not keep people awake 24/7 because of all the light and noise pollution and taking all their water, et cetera? Is there a way to coexist?
I mean, there is a way to coexist, but we're on the footsteps of the fourth industrial revolution. These AI models have extreme military value. The idea that the government's going to try to strike a balance is ludicrous. What they're going to do is that they're going to, take this divide and they're going to amplify it into a dialectic, and they're going to create, their homegrown terrorists, these anti-AI activists, and they're going to use it in order to cause disruption, and then point to that and say, well, we need to override, we need to take away states' rights in order to build these data centers. Because, for a while, people like Bernie Sanders were able to pretty much halt the data center constructions that were being done across the country. You had all this, state activism to say, well, not in my backyard. And there wasn't really any sort of compromise being offered, right? Like the compromise is, okay, well, we obviously want, if these data centers are going to be built, we're going to want to have them be built in the state, but we don't want energy costs to go up, right? And so the compromise is, well, we need to build more energy generation. But instead what we have is like a solid no. And the public now says, well, we don't want this in our backyard. Like, no, you want data centers in your backyard because eventually when that tax, switch comes to where they're taxing inference, if that data center is located in your state, you're going to be able to get a cut of that tax and use it for, the state budget. If you don't have it, you're still going to, your companies are still going to be buying that inference. It just won't be in your state or co-located in the United States. It's going to be co-located in Saudi Arabia, where the energy is. And so the great sort of compromise, which will be fought after this dialectic battle plays out, is they're going to have to massively increase the amount of energy supply that's available.
Yes, but Zach, it's so I totally agree with you, by the way, but it's such a long timeline to do that because of the difficulty of building out infrastructure. Nuclear power takes over a decade. Gas turbines have an 8 to 10 year wait time now for the larger models, et cetera. Whereas China, they've been building energy infrastructure for decades while we were shutting it down in the US. So China's got the cheapest power, or among the cheapest, and they can scale, even though they don't have as many data centers as we do, they can scale in a way that we can't. And don't you see that China is going to be sort of the inference exporter hub of the world just because of cheap energy and unlimited data center construction?
Yeah, and they're going to get the leap ahead. Like if you see this graph between the amount of power being laid down between the United States and China, what you see is the United States is flat. It's been flat since about 1996. And China is just going up, right? And it's solar, it's nuclear, it's fossil fuel, it's coal, it's all these, it's a smorgasbord, a potpourri of different energy technologies that they're laying down so that they can generate more and push more electrons through their electrical grid. Right now, the barrier in the United States is this legacy of, no to more energy generation. People want to build more nuclear. The answer is no. People want to build more hydroelectric. The answer is no. People want to build more coal-fueled power plants. The answer is no. Now, obviously, we don't want to have old technology that pollutes our air, but the thing is that a lot of this green nuclear energy has all this red tape. For 35 years, the United States could not build a nuclear reactor within its territory. All of that needs to go away. All of that needs to be cut. We need to co-locate nuclear power on these data centers, so that, and the benefit will be that everybody's electricity bill theoretically will go down. Because if you're going to build one nuclear power plant, you might as well build four. It's the exact same red tape on the government side to, say, well, we're going to build four now, and we'll build over capacity so that we'll have enough for the data center, we'll have enough for everybody else. Like the idea that somebody's going to be paying $400, electricity bill, like my electricity bill in San Francisco for me and my two roommates that live here was $500, and it was $500, the month before that.
Gee.
And there's no reason that energy needs to be that expensive.
No, what about small modular reactors? Do you think that's ready to be commercialized and rolled out? Because it's still nuclear fission. It still has fuel replacements every 5 or 8 years or something like that. Is that viable, or is it too risky to put those into neighborhoods or commercial areas?
Look, all this stuff has been viable since 1989 when Pons Fleshman came out with their cold fusion device, right? Like the media complained that it didn't have 100% replication rate within the labs that tried to replicate it, which means that like they did have replication, but it wasn't 100%. Right?
I'm not even talking about cold fusion though. I mean just the mainstream, not hot fusion, but fission, like a scaled down fission reactor that like Raytheon and Lockheed Martin have, these small modular reactors that can fit in like a couple of garage buildings. That's what I'm talking about.
Right, the fission, right. So fission, there's been a whole bunch of nuclear chemistries that you can apply, right, at the small scale. Whether it's been fusion, whether it's been fission, we can split the atom in a number of ways, and we know what to do with the waste. You can actually recycle the waste and use it in fuel for these next generation breeder reactors.
That's right,
you don't have to use uranium. You can use thorium-232 in a fast neutron breeder reactor and breed your own uranium-233 and, do the cycle that way. All of this technology has been suppressed for God knows what reason, probably to prop up the petrodollar currency system. And all of this stuff is now, essentially being a blocker, a gate that is preventing technological, progress. And the thing is that only works if everybody cooperates and pretends that this is the only way to get energy out of the system, right? And soon, like India right now is building thorium. China's experimenting with it. They've got all kinds of nuclear chemistries. Once that starts to be productized and starts being used for their AI, all of a sudden we're going to find out that we can build a nuclear reactor just as fast as China is. And believe me, that's going to come.
One more quick thing, and then Todd, you get the next question. But
Sure.
Politically, Anna Paulina Luna was just tweeting out like, "We have to beat China at AI. It's got to be priority number one." And I even responded to her on X. I said, "Yeah, that's great, except we need a time machine to go back 25 years and start building energy infrastructure because it's too late to do it now. You can't just wave a magic wand. You can't just, rah, rah, have a bunch of cheerleaders, it's America, we're going to kick ass. Sorry, that doesn't actually generate terawatt hours, it turns out. I mean, I love the pro-America cheerleading, but that doesn't solve the problem, does it? Zach,
You're asking me, you're asking Todd.
Asking you, Zach, and then I'm going to let Todd jump in with his question.
Right. As soon as the red tape comes down, everything else is going to follow. First off, what we are going to get, with all this signaling, I think, is the price of energy is going to skyrise. And what that's going to do is that's going to give a problem, and the solution will then be, hey, we need to load up generation of energy so that we can, increase massively the supply. And once that happens, then, we are going to load up on, terawatts of energy in excess capacity. And then people's energy, the prices will come down. And then essentially what we're going to be is we're going to be, into the next stage of the fourth industrial revolution, because this fourth industrial revolution needs to be powered by a new energy source. And right now we're seeing a lot of. When's that going to be?
Or what kind of source do you think it'll be?
I think it's going to be these small reactor fissions to sort of close the gap. But then I think what's going to happen is that we're going to drop global warming, the whole global warming psyop.
Yeah.
That is in contradiction to the fourth industrial revolution. And they'll come up with experts and say, actually, we were misled all along, kind of like how bad is bad for you and salt is bad for you. They're gonna be like, well, actually, was actually the reverse all the way. They're gonna lay this down, and then they're gonna come out and they're gonna say, well, what of two things? Either, hey, actually, fusion turns out to have been easily available since a long time ago, and it was under our nose the entire time, or they're just going to build the reactors silently and not make a big fuss about it, and then there'll just be these giant heat signatures, and some articles written about how there's a mysterious new energy source that's powering all these AI data centers, and American public needs to know why and how they do it, or a combination of those two. So I think they're just going to do it because going through sort of like a civil discourse, it takes too long of a process. And basically what's going to happen is we're going to see this new power generation laid out quietly, and then they're going to do sort of a wrap-up campaign to sort of tie up the loose ends and do a disclosure that, yeah, we actually have a new energy source. And what's really scary is, what are we going to do about the petrodollar? Because if people are buying energy through, nuclear technology, why are we buying a barrel of oil from Saudi Arabia? It's not going to make any sense. In fact, we're going to have so much hypothetical excess energy that we can just generate our own fuel, which is called synthetic gasoline. And with the synth gas, natural gas, gasoline, octane, whatever, we can generate that and use it as a battery for nuclear power, right? So the gasoline that you'll run will basically be stored nuclear energy that takes hydrogen and carbon and oxygen and combines it into a liquid fuel source that you'll then pump into your car. When that happens, the entire concept of the petrodollar doesn't make any sense anymore.
You're 100% correct. And I know, Todd, it's your turn, but I have to interject this because of what Zach said. Show my screen. I've been covering this company out of Japan called Clean Planet, and they have a low energy nuclear reaction technology that they call quantum hydrogen, I think is what they call it. They have partnered with Mitsubishi. They have on their board of directors, they have the former, I think it's the energy minister of Japan, okay? This is not some fly-by-night company. They got millions of investment dollars from the city of Tokyo. And the thing is, Zach, they make a desktop device that generates 24 kilowatts of thermal energy just constantly, 24/7. Sits on your desk. Think of it, 24 kilowatts of thermal energy with a low energy nuclear reaction. The fuel is just hydrogen. Energy, E equals MC squared. This much hydrogen powers you for months, right? And then, of course, you're going to boil water. You're going to generate steam. You're going to have a little steam turbine. You're going to generate AC power. You're good to go. But freaking 24 kilowatts on my desktop, this is being commercialized right now. And it's just like you said, Zach, if you have that much excess energy, you can make, petrochemicals. You can make them. You can synthesize them. You don't need the Middle East at all for that stuff. So that I just want to throw that in. Okay, Todd, over to you.
Well, based on that note to self, I'm going to I'm going to sell my Dubai condo. So no, I have two comments and then a question. One comment is, just hearing all of this, I sure do miss Radio Shack in the early 80s. Those days,
I know.
And when we rode our bicycles, to our friend's house, and anyway, and then earlier you were talking about communities getting a cut of the data center tax, and I'm just wondering, in my mind, cynically, is that going to fund the importation of water, because the data centers seem like they're going to take all of the water. So that's just a comment. But here's my question, Zach. And I am the person who kind of tries to bring things down from the top shelf to a shelf that I understand them. And a lot of our viewers think like me. Can you please just unpack and give us a little bit of a 101 on what the fourth industrial revolution is, please?
Yeah, so the fourth industrial revolution is it's when we transfer from a human-centered economy to an AI machine-centered economy. Ray Kurzweil, spoke a lot about this with his book, The Singularity is Near. Essentially what happens is that when the machines are able to make the machines are able to think. We have thinking machines that live among us. Once we have that, then all of a sudden the economy is no longer going to make its products based on people using machines. It's going to be AI using machines to make the products. And what that does is that takes us to a age of scarcity, which is what human existence has always existed in, into a abundance age, a post-scarcity era, where you tell the machines to make a mining center or make a nuclear power plant, and it goes and it designs the whole thing, plans out how it's going to do it, and then executes it without any human intervention. Where you have factories called lights out factories, where the entire data center runs with no lights on because nobody needs to see, because there's no human operators existing in it. Think about like an Amazon distribution center where instead of workers, taking boxes down and labeling them for shipping, it's all done by robots. They all have their infrared cameras. And so to save, a few dollars a month on energy, they just turn the lights out. And that's essentially what the fourth industrial revolution is going to be. It's going to be an exponential increase in the productivity of the economic system. It means that there's no more scarcity of products that we need, because whenever we want to do it, the machines can just make it on demand. It's a completely new concept. It's a completely new era, and it's going to herald a new renaissance, the likes we have never seen. Also, a lot of people could die, because the growing pains of that system is going to leave a lot of people economically redundant with AI. You don't need a cash register person, taking your money, handling your order at McDonald's, if you've got a kiosk that's able to take your order, accept your payment, give an order to the robotic chef to make your burger, and then serve it to you. And so a lot of the elites and a lot of people, we don't know how we're going to handle this fourth industrial revolution. The elites have chiseled into the Georgia Guidestones that they want the population under 500 million people in perpetual balance with nature. So we have that, that problem where 92% of the humanity is being predicted to be, or prophesized to be, cold. And so, it's both scary, awe-inspiring, and terrifying, all at the same time, all wrapped up into one.
So I think it's insane. I think it's insane. I mean, I think they destroyed the Georgia Guidestones, didn't they? So there's no proof of that they actually said that the population was going to be 500,000 people.
Well, I mean, we've got pictures of it, and they destroyed the Swahili Hindu slab, and then they tore down the other slabs, which is a bad omen if you're Hindu. And they never caught the guy that tore down the stones. They don't know who built the stones either, right? Nobody claimed responsibility. So I feel that the whole thing was a sort of a revelation of the method, where they're like, hey, we're gonna use this really flowery language to sort of hint that most of humanity are going to be useless leaders, are going to be wiped out. And I say that kind of dryly and bluntly because I've had a lot of time to think about it and accept that this is what they're going to do.
But Zach, I totally agree with what you were saying here. I've covered extensively the depopulation agenda, but then you get people like Elon Musk and other top tech people that are telling the public, no, you're all going to be rich. You're going to have a universal high income. We're just going to give you money so you can just live as free humans and do whatever you want. And people believe that. They believe that. But isn't that the opiate of the mass, or the financial opiate of the masses right there? It's like, hey, get high on dollars, and then we're gonna cull you with the next jab or the next water shortage or the next war or whatever. Isn't it just, it's pretty malicious to tell people everything's fine when it's not?
Well, I think that if you make it past the great filter that they have planned for us, then life can be really good. I think that the Renaissance post AI World War III is going to be freaking awesome, right?
But you're saying for the survivors. For the survivors,
yeah.
Right. I agree.
If you're a useless eater, AI terrorist, you're going to have a short lifespan because you're going to try to get in the way of their progress, which they also want you to do to absorb your oppositional energy to feed the very system that they're trying to, promulgate. But if you're able to make it past the great filter, then I do think they're going to have an abundance. It's going to be like Star Trek, a replicator, whatever thing that you want, they're going to be able to just give it to you via, robot AI production. It's just a lot of people are going to have to die first. And that's according to what they've hinted to us. And logically, I can kind of see how they think that.
And that's what you're calling the great filter, which is the great culling.
Right.
And I understand what you're saying. You're not advocating for it, but you're saying that you can see from their point of view what they are thinking, which is that they have so many billions of people that are actually on the negative side of the cost spreadsheet that are costing the government money, entitlements, retirement, Social Security, whatever. So from their point of view, they really just want to get rid of all these people so they can just use the resources for data centers, have only, 500 million people remaining in terms of population. And then they think they can build utopia for everyone. Is that accurate?
Yeah. And I want to add to that too. I think that they see a lot of the minds that are easily susceptible to, mass media programming as a liability, because those people can be influenced by artificial intelligence and go to some AI messiah. And this is my personal belief. And I hope that they see value in people that have very fiercely independent minds that are not easily swayable by what the tribe is thinking. They are able to stand up and say, actually, that's not correct. And here's why. And I think that those minds are going to be very valuable in the AI age, because you want people that are naturally thinking in objective reality, logical thought, and they don't just change their opinions because, that's the way the trends are blowing and what everybody else is, thinking. I think those kinds of minds are going to be dangerous for, mass formation psychosis in the AI age, because we need to have these independent minds in order to act as a counterbalance to this massive AI that's going to be plugged into it.
Well, you just described our entire audience, by the way. So all of us here, we're independent thinkers. We're fiercely independent. And yeah, I hope at some point it's recognized that we are actually the voices in the minds that are critical for the survival of the human race. And the fact that we ask questions and that we don't question authority automatically is actually a survival trait for the species. So
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because eventually this AI is going to be plugged into our minds. And is it going to be compliant with what everybody else is thinking? Or is it going to be able to come up with, is being novel and independent, built into the wetware? And if you interface that with an AI, then that independence, that fierceness, that innovation is going to ripple out and be amplified by the AI that's attached to it.
Exactly. All right, Todd.
Boy,
Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, this just makes me want to go out and support any AI, data center build based on the fact they want to kill all of us. Screw that, man.
No, they don't want to kill all of us. Just 98%.
Yeah, but here's the thing: what I have learned about the 98%ers, right? That I learned through the COVID nonsense is that there are so few of us who was put a line in the sand and said, no, I'm not wearing a mask. You move, you know, but the other 98%ers, even though they're our family members, our neighbors, our boss, our employees, etc., they're still great people. They just don't have that gene that we do, the ones who can discern the bullshit, that have a bullshit detector, right? And so, but we still love them. I mean, my God, I am unique in my family in that I'm the only conspiratard around the Thanksgiving dinner table, right? But I can guarantee you I don't have myocarditis. So with that, I think that we have to have some empathy in thinking about all of this. And if the end game is 500,000 people, and so that all of these dark AI, centers can run a little less expensively because the lights are off, because there are no people and no town around it anymore because they're just not freaking needed. Screw that. Anyway.
Well, can I just add, Todd, I don't think it's very difficult to be more prepared and smarter than 90% of the population. It's really not that difficult, right? I mean, the top 10% is not even really that it's outstanding. You know what I mean? So when they go to cull the human race, they're going to go for the low-hanging fruit. I've always said they're going to first go for people who they can convince to kill themselves. Medical assisted euthanasia. They will. Right there.
Well, that leads to my next question. You know, one concern we hear often now is that AI may not simply automate labor. It may automate what we're talking about right now, discernment itself. So if people increasingly outsource thinking, memory, and decision making to AI, Zach, what happens to human intuition and independent judgment?
You know, I've heard a lot of this talk within the programming community. They're going to be like, well, your skills for programming are going to atrophy. And while that is 100% true, right? My skills as a programmer are going down. I don't have the patience for it anymore. I don't even code. I manage AI. What's interesting is that my ability to manage AI has grown off the charts, right? It's a completely different skill set, right? It's like, you know, you could be good at, you know, solving algebra, and then you get, you know, a TI-89 calculator, and then you go to the next level, and then you get really good at solving the abstract problems. And what's going to happen is that we're going to rise to a higher level of abstraction where we don't have to worry about a lot of this brute force stuff, and we go to the top level goals of what exactly is it we're trying to do. Now, you know, will our ability to operate at a lower level atrophy? Absolutely, right? Even a lot of the decision making will be atrophy. But the thing is that what will replace it is a different ability to make better decisions based upon the sub-agents that go out, explore the world, and generate reports and allow us to make a higher level decision. And that muscle is being exercised, you know, very strongly right now. And so, yes, some parts are going to atrophy, other parts are going to expand. I think that the IQ of an individual will ultimately raise with these tools and allow us to operate at higher levels of performance than we ever thought possible.
Really?
You know, and I'm guilty of this though too, what Zach is saying, because, you know, those watching who are coders, like if you ask AI, refactor this code base, and it'll come back and it'll say, okay, I can do these 10 things. 1, 2, 3, you know, to list them out. I'm guilty. I used to read all 10. Now I don't. I admit it. I'll read like 3 or 4. I'm like, yeah, I like where this is going. Do all 10. I've done that. I probably shouldn't do that, but I've definitely done that. Have you done that, Zach? Or do you always?
I'm doing it all the time, right? Like, and I used to catch so much crap for this because I've always been, you know, an early adopter on this AI stuff, even before they had these, you know, these modern Codex Anthropic coding agents. I was using something called Aider Chat. Well, I even built my own front end for this, right? And I got about a year ago into this thing where I wasn't even looking at the code anymore for review, right? I was sort of, sometimes I'd look at the code, other times I wouldn't. I started to adapt and change and basically say, well, if I have thorough unit tests that tests the behavior of it, I don't really care what the shape of the solution looks like as long as it satisfies the unit test, hits its performance numbers, and hits all the metrics. And so it's gone from a solutions-based, you know, I'm in the weeds coding to does it pass the exception criteria, you know, to go in? And that's what a project manager thinks, right? The project manager is not, you know, reviewing all the code that the coders are putting out. I mean, they'll do a light glance over it, but they're at a different level of abstraction. So, you know, 100%, right? Like, and now I'm taking issues that I'm generating on GitHub and I'm combining them into a bundle. And then I'm setting an AI goal to basically say, go and do everything. And as you discover new problems, file them again. We'll just keep on this cycle until the whole thing is done. And, you know, I get into these things where a goal will take 8 hours to perform with an AI, with this cycle of iterating through, doing the tasks, finding problems, filing more tasks, and then starting that whole cycle until the whole goal is completed.
And that's all autonomous, hands off.
All autonomous. And that's and the thing is that this is happening in coding because that's where it's happening first. but that's going to spread everywhere to all sorts of tasks that we can think to do, not just coding.
But if you think about the macro there, what's happening then is we've entered an era where we're trusting AI to interpret reality for us because we're just trusting it, right? You don't read the 10 anymore, Mike. You're just trusting it. And I know that's the evolution of it, but what's the downside of that?
Well, here's the downside, right? Like these models can hallucinate. They're getting better at not hallucinating, but with every downside, there's also a strategy that you can employ to reduce the downsides completely, right? So for example, when I do an AI coding task, I expect the AI to get certain things wrong. And so what I do is I employ adversarial AI to try to break it, right? Like find all the bugs, do penetration testing, try to find out what's wrong with the answer that I was just given, right? And what happens is that instead of just doing a single source AI answer, you generate a council of experts. You get them to argue over it like a philosopher's table, and then they're going to come to some consensus. And so, that could be a whole bunch of models from Anthropic. They could be Anthropic and OpenAI, or, you could imagine all of the providers, DeepSeek, Qwen, OpenAI, Olama, Mistral, all of them together. And then in order for you to get a failure, they all have to be compromised. And you're basically going to trust the network. It's kind of like Bitcoin. Like what keeps Bitcoin afloat? Well, 51% or more of the networks are not compromised. And so if you can trust a council of experts to come to a consensus on the right idea, then you don't have any single point of failure and your model of cognition becomes more robust.
I love how you're describing that. I'm also thinking you're burning so many tokens. I think we need a whole data center just for your code that you're working on, right? But you're doing it in a very smart way. And you've also grown to know the limitations of AI, as I have as well. Like, for example, if I tell it to complete a task, add a feature, let's say, you don't trust it when it just says, I added the feature, it's done. You don't go, okay, great, let's ship it. No way, man. No, you have it review. You do the adversarial AI, like you say. You have it review multiple times. You have it test itself, run its own simulation, try to see if that feature works, etc. And Zach, I don't know if you have a similar type of thing, but I consider AI to be your Rain Man friend. So it's it is. It's like your Rain Man friend, right? And you're like, hey, can you count the spilled sticks on the ground, the toothpicks? Yes, I can count. Can you count cards at the casino? Yes. Are you an excellent driver? Yes, I'm an excellent driver. Holy shit, no, you're not an excellent driver, right? That's Rain Man. Rain Man doesn't know his limitations.
It's like a narcissist that's constantly confabulating reality with its own internal hallucinating state. Like, how many times has Anthropic said to you, Mike, I've found the smoking gun, right? And I'm like, sure you have, right? We're gonna test this in two different ways to make sure that you've actually found the smoking gun. And like more than 50% of the time, it's like, oh, actually, I was wrong. Right. I had some wrong assumptions, or I missed this one part, right? And what's funny is that I see all these other coders out there. They hit the fact that the AIs have a very high error rate in their reasoning. And they say, oh, the whole thing is complete bogus and it's never going to work and blah, 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 blah. And if they were to keep on pushing past that, what they would do is they would find out that there's all of these mitigation strategies so that you can keep this amazing cognitive velocity and all of the downsides are mitigated and neutralized before they, destroy your whole product launch. And so, that's the mitigation.
So there's a critical skill now, and you've already mentioned the layers of abstraction on this, and I'm going to show my screen to my producers here. But as you know, Zach, and by the way, I have to thank you because you have helped answer many questions that I've had along the way. You've been something of a mentor to me on AI, and I thank you for that. But I've been able to build, brightlearn.ai. We now have 61,000 books, 13,000 authors almost. And we're about to have 1,000 downloadable audiobooks and 1,000 books in Espanol, all free, completely open source, and you can generate your own book. Now, as I was building this, Zach, I kept thinking, why isn't somebody else doing this? Like, why isn't Amazon doing this? Why isn't Google doing this? And eventually I came to realize that for whatever reason, like you and I, Zach, we know how to talk to AI better than a lot of coders do for some reason. What is that? And Todd, I know you're not an AI coder, but you know what I'm talking about. But what is it that distinguishes coders from people who can direct AI?
Look, there's an important thing that you're missing right here, and that is the crushing staleness of the bureaucracy in order to stop and halt all innovation, right? Now, as an individual that is being amplified, if you're a non-coder, you can even write a, code. Now you're able to generate entire systems. So, what's the, what's a number divided by 0? You basically have infinite sort of productivity gains. And the thing is that if you want to do something, you can turn on a dime and say, well, I'm going to go in this direction now. And there's no counsel to get on board, right? It's just one. I'm going to do this.
Right.
And
it's very refreshing.
It's very refreshing. What's really interesting right now is that I'm seeing that the larger a company is, the greater structural disadvantage it has in order to move, because with this AI, you could just move so fast, right? Like if you're able to move 100 times faster, but your bureaucracy is the same, right? And the bureaucracy is going to be like, well, we need to reorganize so that we can move faster. I mean, maybe they'll get a 2x gain or, 3x gain, but with this AI, we're talking about, first it's 10, then it's 20, then it's 50, then it's like 100, and then eventually it's going to be 1,000x faster than what you were able to move before. That entire bureaucracy doesn't accelerate anything. It just acts as a deceleration brake and prevents the innovation from coming out. And so what's going to happen is that you're going to see, and this is my prediction, you're going to see these, 100,000 person companies being demolished by a company of exactly one, right? One person that makes all the decision, lays out what service they want, and then an army of AI agents are going to spawn up, figure out how to make it, figure out all the details of the service, and then implement and then deploy it, and then monitor it for health, make fixes as they come along, discover bugs as they happen, and fix the whole thing autonomously. And I think we even have like a term for it. It's like a DAO, a distributed autonomous organization. Right?
I think it should be called the Zach Adams effect.
Like
combination of what you guys are doing.
Zach Adams effect. Yeah, you heard it here first. The Zach Adams effect is going to be an entire organization implemented with a workforce of AI agents that are essentially, manifestations of the core founder that is driving the innovation, the idea forward. And I think that's going to be the future. And I think that a lot of these large corporations, they're trying to make progress. They see the velocity at the individual developer layer, but they can't move it into a dominant position yet. The only exceptions I've seen to this rule are Anthropic. Their velocity is absolutely mind-blowing, and to a lesser extent, OpenAI. But unfortunately, they're led by, a narcissist individual that has very deep, psychological problems that prevent, that company from reaching its full potential.
Are you talking about the alternative to man? Alt-man?
Yeah. Alt-man, yeah, Alt-man, that robot.
Yeah, that rings a bell. I don't trust that guy at all. But what you just said is really critical, and I think you nailed it. And I also think, I see this anti-AI backlash online. People say, well, all these companies, they're reverting back to humans because the AI doesn't work. I'm like, you have the wrong people running the AI if you don't know how to use it. And I'm not saying replace humans, but I'm saying empower the people you have to do 10 times more easily. If you don't know how to talk to AI, you're missing out on the fourth industrial revolution.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And the only way they're going to be able to compensate is they're going to have to use more AI, right? Like instead of humans reviewing the code, they're going to be like, well, we have to have AI review the code and not actually look at the code by a human reviewer. I mean, that sounds scary, but the change is that you're going to eliminate an entire bottleneck that is slowing down the whole AI progression, right? And what's interesting is that people like you, Mike, you're not a programmer, right? The whole concept of you reviewing code just doesn't even make any sense. You're just going to put the code in, and you're not going to exactly know how it works. And so paradoxically, you actually have the advantage over these programmers in a lot of ways.
I never look at the code. I really don't. But I mean, I used to code years ago, like PHP, stuff like that. And I have a lot of like SQL database experience. So that's very helpful to be able to talk to the AI of, I want this data structure. I want these indexes. I want these relational tables. But I never look at the code. I don't want to look at the code. I'm actually afraid to look at the code because it's probably a nightmare of code. But I do what you do, Zach. It's like, does it work? Is it efficient? I refactor code all the time. I'm like, why are you using so much CPU? You know, why are you using so much storage? You know, I mean, I'm constantly forcing it to have better code, but I'm not looking at it.
Right. Exactly. And neither am I at this point as a veteran programmer who's worked in big tech.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at the code anymore. Like, why? Because I can go 20 times faster and I can work on several repos in parallel through AI agents. And it's now developing in a language called Rust that I'm not even familiar with, right? Because that's the best language for AIs. And so I can't even review it. And that's unlocking so much potential. And we're just going to keep on moving in this way, because once you say, well, there doesn't need to be a human in the loop, then you can set really high level goals, and an army of AI agents will just spawn out of the ether to accomplish the task and then retire. And you know, that's the fourth industrial revolution right there. We're on the footsteps of a new era, and it's exciting and terrifying at the same time.
All right, so we're almost up on time. So Todd, you get the last question.
All right. Well, from the future, or from the future of our children file, I want to address this. While I do not self-identify as Rain Man, gentlemen, I know there are 4,784 reasons to get and keep your children out of the public school system. And so the alternative, I'm trying to war game here about the future. Zach, do you see a future where education and maybe even parenting is outsourced to AI and AI companions?
I believe all decisions will be outsourced to AI. Right now, we're using phones and our fingers to communicate with these AI agents. Eventually, it's going to be implanted directly into the wetware. There's a lot of people out there spreading a lot of fear and saying how that's going to open up a portal to demons. As far as I'm concerned, that's just dialectic propaganda to make sure that there is a whole class of people that are cut off from the access to this hyper-intelligent exotic entity. And the elites are definitely going to plug in, and they're going to definitely be useful in the fourth industrial revolution. The commoner who thinks that, you know, it's a portal to demonic entities is not going to do it. They're going to be the useless eaters, and they're not going to make it through the filter. So I think that, you know, this is going to be a great, you know, decision that, you know, the individuals are going to have to make about whether they want to tap in fully to this AI system or basically live as natural natives the way our ancestors did. And each individual is going to have to make that decision. It's a scary decision, but unfortunately, the progress of technology is moving forward like a great tsunami. And if you don't choose to swim, you're going to sink and drown. And unfortunately,
or you're going to take the mark of the beast. I don't know. 66 chapter.
Zach, you just opened up another show. It's like that you just, at the very end of this show, you opened that Pandora's box.
Sorry.
Now, I'm thinking, like, we used to watch movies, Aliens versus Predator, and you just described like Amish versus cyborgs, you know. it's like, you know, pick one. So we'll have to do another show with you coming up if you're open to that. In the meantime, I want to thank you for everything that you've done for humanity. You're a whistleblower. You're a truth teller. You're very courageous. Let me give out your websites again here, zachvorhies.com, and also googleleaksbook.com is where you can find here is Google Leaks, Whistleblowers Expose of Big Tech Censorship. And what's your handle on X?
It's Perpetual Maniac. It was my gamer tag. And when I became a whistleblower, I didn't change it in time. And now my X handle is Perpetual Maniac. Find that on all social media.
Okay.
Everywhere.
Is there an underscore in it, or is it just
No,
just all together?
at Perpetual Maniac.
Okay, perfect.
Hey, Mike,
Yeah.
I have one last question for you. When can we expect there to be a book written on your engine called the Zach Adams Effect?
Well, we could do that tonight if we want. You know, we could just outline it and do it. The book engine is kicking ass, and I'm using so many open source models now, even for the cover art translation. It's all done locally with open source,
Amazing.
which means it's unfreaking stoppable. It's unstoppable. Yep. And I don't use any Google for any of it. So I think that's a trend. That's what I want to advocate, is people having their own local AI. You know, machine cognition is going to be critical for survival, just to be able to answer questions about how do I grow food? How do I run my solar system? How do I fix my robot? You know, you're going to need local AI, and I'm not letting them take it away.
I think there's going to be a huge future homesteading trend where it's going to be robotic homesteading,
Yep.
where you retire on a piece of land.
Me too.
And you're not doing the chickens or the green beans. You've got artificial intelligence robots making natural food for you. And it's going to be essentially a revival of getting back to the earth in a very strange way.
I intend to be a pioneer in exactly that.
Yep.
That's what I want to demo is, like I've said, weed pulling robots, man. I want robots that can grow food.
Bring it on. I'll come eat at your place.
That sounds great. Yeah, we'll have like robot curated tomato slices or something. But it'll all be like non-GMO, natural, high nutrient density, locally grown food. It's just that a robot planted it, you know? It's fine with me. I've got other stuff to do.
Right.
Right. So thank you, Zach. It's always a pleasure to speak with you. And you got to, like, the sunlight is getting brighter and brighter on you. You've become
wanting to do that
more
all day.
and more
Now look
white
at it.
during the entire.
I know.
All right. Well, thank you so much,
Thank you, Zach.
Have a great day.
Until next time, Mike.
All right. You bet.
care.
Take care.
Cheers.
All right. That was Zach Vorhies, everybody. And Todd, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back with the after party after. Oh, what happened to Todd? Oh, Zach disconnected. We have a portion of Todd.
There we go.
The fractal Todd just disappeared. No, we're going to be back after this break with the after party, so stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Cheers.
Join the official discussion channel for this show on Telegram at t.me/decentralizedtv, where you can ask questions or offer suggestions of who we should interview next. Also, be sure to subscribe to the email newsletter on decentralized.tv, where you'll be alerted about 1 day in advance of each new upcoming episode, before it gets published. On decentralized.tv, you'll also find links to our video channels and social media channels across all platforms, including Brighteon, Rumble, BitChute, Twitter, Truth Social, and more. Check it all out at decentralized.tv. All right, welcome back, everybody, to the after party. And Todd, Zach is just brilliant, right? He's so advanced.
He's so advanced. It's like I just feel like I'm in kindergarten observing you two go back and forth. I think the Zach Adams effect is real, people.
Zach Adams effect. Well, okay, you coined it. You get the credit for coining it. Maybe I'll use that phrase, but I got to tell you,
I like it.
It's
because you could have your book engine go back and say, using this interview, I want you to write the book, The Zach Adams Effect,
True.
and have it be about, two single entrepreneurs, like-minded, smart programmers, AI programmers, how you built what you built with just you, Mike. I mean, Jesus. It's crazy to me. And that's the Zach Adams effect, because you guys know how to talk to AI. You know how to direct it. You're an orchestra.
But shouldn't it be called the Vorhies Adams effect? Because if it's Zach Adams, people are going to say, who is Zach Adams? And there isn't.
There isn't.
Zach. Well, maybe there's some other Zach Adams, but
Voorhees Adams effect just doesn't have. Maybe Adams Voorhees doesn't sound right. I just think
you think
go
Zach
with
Adams, yeah.
Zach Adams
Zach is a
effect
cool
because
name.
you can unpack what it is.
Okay.
In the book, you can say it's because of our interview with Zach Voorhees. I'm Mike Adams.
Well, speaking terminology, I'm going to have to use his term of the great filter.
Yeah,
Because that's more
wonderful.
polite than saying mass extermination of humanity.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But just for the record, Mike,
Yes.
I, for one, will take a hard pass on implanting any kind of technology in my brain. But
yeah.
that's just me.
No, I'm not doing the implants either. No, thank you. I'm happy to use AI outside my body.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I'll do it through an interface with a computer and everything, but I'm not taking implants. But what Zach is saying is that probably those who take the implants will have basically cognitive augmentation at a level that will make them ridiculously, productive.
Maybe not, because think about it. Is that really going to make people fulfilled and happy?
Well, I don't know
Just
about
make more
happy,
product-
but in terms of productivity, in the abstract world of launching projects and business.
Yeah,
and all
God bless
that.
you. But how about the notion of, hey, install a food for us, go have babies, make kids,
Yeah.
create a family, get to know your thy neighbor, things like that. It's like everybody now is just so into the advanced tech, and I'm not against it. My God, I witness it every week with the miracles you produce and stuff, and I'm in awe and stuff. But after a while, I'm wondering, at what point in time do people go out and live their
Oh,
lives?
that's critical. Like after this show, I'm taking my dogs for a run through the forest.
Yeah, and you know what? I can almost set a clock to it. When you are running and you're kind of at the end of your run, you'll stop and you heavy breath and you'll say, you'll signal me and say, Todd, man, it's a great show. I have an idea. It's so funny.
That's true. That's true. I'm
love
often
it.
sending
Keep
you
it coming.
messages when I'm half
Keep
out of
it
breath.
coming. I love it. Makes my Thursdays.
Yeah, but I learned something very interesting yesterday.
Okay.
That how I have kettlebells and I have a strength training station in a forest. It's on my private property, and so I go there and I lift kettlebells and I do all that stuff.
Yep.
I learned yesterday. This is so bizarre. I don't even know how this came up on my radar. It was like an article in the Taipei Times. There is a variation of Qigong that men in Taiwan, they swing weights from their penises, which they claim improves longevity and hormone and sexual function and whatever else. And apparently, and I made up the name like Qigong Dong. but that they have a different name for it in Taiwan. But Qigong Dong, they use heavier and heavier weights.
Wow.
No, apparently,
until it becomes a Qigong Gong.
Your Qigong Dong is gone? Is that what you said? No, but apparently they tie weights to they use a ribbon and they tie it around the base of their penis, and then they swing the weights for longevity or something. And the masters can do heavier and heavier weights to the point where they're swinging like over 100 pounds. I'm like, what? Wait a second. Now, technically, I could add this to my forest private gym workout, but I don't think I will.
Oh my God. I'm never going to unsee this visual again in my life, Mike. Thank you.
Right. But Todd, even if you could.
No, I wouldn't.
Does this sound like does this count as exercise?
Exercise, maybe?
No, I mean.
No.
What?
Hard no.
Yeah, hard no. Soft no on this one. It's like, no, there's not enough wood in the world to swing that much weight. I don't get it, man. I mean, I'm all about physical fitness, but Qigong Dong just seems a little bit too far. What
Yeah.
do you think?
Mike, I'm with you.
Okay. All right. We're on the same page.
Oh, goodness.
And I'm sorry to take us in that tangent, but
No, I
you
love
want to
it.
talk about
This is the after
decentralization.
party. This is
Yeah.
the after party, man.
I mean, I want to be as healthy as I can, and I'm willing to look at alternative forms of physical fitness and so on. But I'm going to stick with push-ups, I think,
There you go.
and
yeah.
shoulder presses with the kettlebells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick with 2-liter Coca-Cola. No.
And if
Kidding.
you go to a public gym and somebody is practicing Qigong Dong in the gym, then that's an issue, probably.
Hard no.
Yeah.
3 hard
It's like,
no's this show.
what are you doing there, buddy? What are you doing?
Oh, goodness. All righty, Mikey.
Okay. It's like
is-
Anatoly doing a gym prank.
Right.
It's like, I can lift
That
3
would be
barbells.
funny. That would be funny.
I want to see
man.
Anatoly.
Somebody
deadlifting.
out there who's creative should be able to find an AI engine that could create that video.
Yeah, probably so. Probably so. Okay, anyway, sorry about the distraction, but getting back to Zach Vorhies, who has nothing to do with Qigong Dong,
No.
the ancient art of dong strengthening or something.
The ancient art of Peter Dragon. Get it?
Oh, God. Yeah, probably.
Or it was authored by Peter Dragon. There you go.
Peter Dragon. Oh, my God. Yeah.
See, that's the book.
Sorry.
Qigong Dong by Peter Dragon. There you go.
Oh, that's better than Master Fu Koff.
No, nothing's ever better.
That's
Master
great.
Fu Koff.
Okay, Peter Dragon by Qigong Dong.
It'll happen, people.
Yeah, you give me too many ideas for the book
know.
engine now.
Yes, you're welcome, universe.
The journey of 1,000 kilogram begin with 1 kilogram.
Until you have 100 pounds
Oh, man.
and you become Peter Dragon.
We're not
Okay.
mocking Asian people with the voice impersonation, by the way. We honor your
That's
ancient
an
art
honor. Yes,
of Qigong Dong. In fact, we are in awe, frankly.
we are in awe. Yes.
I've never been so impressed in my life. But back to
All righty, Mike.
Okay. that's a whole new name, a whole new term for the word swinger party. They're not. They're swinging weights, is what they're swinging, and it's all
Oh, my
dudes.
goodness.
It's all dudes swinging weights, man. Swinger party. In case you're wondering.
Another visual I can't unsee.
Okay, all right.
Let's put this to bed.
Please, God, let's change the topic. Okay.
Yes.
How do we?
All right.
It's my fault that I brought this up. I'm sorry.
You brought it up, but that's
Yeah.
okay. That's okay.
Okay.
But we do have to wrap this up so I can get to my.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You have an
non-Qigong
appointment.
dong.
Yeah.
I have a
See?
consultation.
And you can blame me
That's
with your
right.
consultation appointment.
Good.
And if you actually tell your client
yeah.
the real reason why we're late, he won't believe you. He'll think you're making it up. Because
No,
Mike introduced me to Qigong Dong.
Yeah,
And-
I put it this way. In 6 minutes, I will open up the Zoom meeting regardless of what you're still talking or not. So he'll
okay.
be able to.
All right.
But
So let's wrap this up.
yes,
All
sir.
due apologies to Zach Vorhies. He's brilliant. It was an amazing
Yes, he
interview. And the great filter is coming. We all agree on that.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. But he who can swing 100 kilograms can survive
I
the
just
great filter.
I just want in the introduction to be for there to be a haiku introducing the book. You got to figure out the perfect haiku for
There once was a man from Nantucket. Does it begin with that? Is
something like that.
Who could swing a 50 kilogram bucket? Is that okay? See,
Until
you're not
he
helping
said-
me get off the topic now.
No,
We're back on the topic.
we're back.
Okay. Let's talk about the UNA. That's something different.
Okay, so the UNA, the Unincorporated Nonprofit Association,
Yes,
if you
let me
go to
bring it up.
my575e.com,
Okay.
you'll be able to learn about it. We're going to rush this because if you hit Let's Go and you go to the next page, you can watch a 90-minute training video, download the interactive PDF. And if you still have questions about keeping more of what you earn, like if you're a W-2 earner, a 1099 earner, if you operate an LLC, if you own property, if you trade in crypto, if you if you buy and sell precious metals, if you have children, you want to keep their life happy when you pass without probate, then just go learn about the UNA on the website. And guess what? If you still have any questions, I make it very easy to have a one-on-one consultation with me, which is why I'm rushing Mike, because I am 2 minutes away
2 minutes
from a consultation. No, 4 minutes.
Oh, okay.
From having a consultation. And what's going to happen is this person is going to have a half-hour Zoom meeting with me, and we're going to talk about his personal situation, his operating reality, and we will discern and assess how a UNA might benefit him. And I will tell you that most people that end up having a consultation move forward with the UNA. And there is a fee to it. It's $150. But the people who move forward with the UNA just get that back because you deduct it from the investment of the UNA. So that's 80% of the people that actually, take the time and the $150 to have a UNA, they usually get one. So there's a good reason why, because it makes sense for most people. So with that, Mike, how about that?
All right. Well, and if they don't proceed, Todd, you could take that $150. You could buy some rope and some weights. Okay. Never mind. Okay.
And I'm going to absolutely wear my mullet wig when I practice.
Wear the mullet wig. Yes.
Qigong
Dong master. Aside from that, rangerdeals.com is the website that I've got where we've got deals set up for you, discounts with my recommended partners. These are my approved partners. Battalion Metals for gold and silver, BioLongevity Labs, Above Phone, here's Limitless Peptides, Red Life devices, satellite phones, etc. And there's not that many of them here actually, but there's a discount code. Usually it's the code RANGER. It'll save you 10 to 15%. So check it out. We do earn a little bit something typically on purchases as an affiliate, fee, or it doesn't cost you anything extra. Right? We get affiliate percentage, but that helps support the program so that we can continue to bring you ridiculous after party. Yeah, Qigong Dong lessons. Yeah, not going to happen. But we are going to have some more ancient computing technology here on the desk in addition to the TRS-80. We've got the Apple II coming. I'm looking for a VIC-20. If somebody's got an old VIC-20 sitting around, you remember that one, Todd?
No.
You don't remember the VIC-20? Oh, well, it was just like a keyboard, I think. And it was another, early 1980s or 70s computer. You got to do, how much you have? 1 minute?
No, you know what? Oh, shit. Sorry.
What? You got to go?
I hit the wrong button. I was going to let him in, and
you just dropped your console?
I just dropped my...
Oh, man. I'm sorry. That's my fault.
I was going to have him say hi to you, Mike.
You should. Maybe he'll call back.
Maybe he'll... Yeah, let's give him a minute. That would be kind of fun.
All right. Anyway, we're done with the show. We're done. I wanted to, close it out just in time for you. For your console.
Well, thank you. But I was kind of looking forward to having Michelangelo was his name.
Okay. Well,
say hi.
Maybe you should call him back. You have his number,
well, I think
assume.
I'm hoping he'll be smart enough to
try again. Okay.
Try again.
All right. Well, in the meantime,
I have 1 more minute before I'm late to it. And so, you know what? I'm not late yet, Mike.
Okay. You're not late yet. All right. Well, everybody, look, we just want to thank you for watching the show today. Please pardon us getting a little bit off the rails here, maybe more than usual. But the world is strange, and we like to give you good solutions, but also keep it lighthearted. We have to laugh
we
a
do.
little bit here and there. Otherwise, it gets too bizarre.
Yeah, it gets too
All right.
Peter Gong-dongish.
Okay. So are you good? We just close this out, or you want to wait?
Yeah, let's just close it out.
close
and
it
I'll
out.
call him. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll call
All right.
and apologize. But you know what? No, I'm not going to apologize.
No,
It's
no,
like
it's
I
nothing to
tried.
apologize as long as you're on time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. You hit the wrong
Well,
button.
everyone, we love you. Thank you. Keep watching. And Mr. Vorhies, apologize about the after party.
Yeah. Sorry about that, Zach. I'll apologize to him later. It's all good. He's cool. And thank you all
Yeah.
for watching today. Check out all the other episodes at decentralized.tv. And thank you for watching today. Take care.
Cheers.
We now have vitamin D3 plus K2 plus Aquaman, which is a seaweed calcium, available at healthrangerstore.com. Here, I've got it up on my site here. This is the Groovy Bee brand that we have, which is our in-house brand, healthrangerstore.com. Again, vitamin D3 plus K2 with Aquaman. That's the brand of the seaweed calcium in a capsule format. Of course, it's laboratory tested for heavy metals and glyphosate and microbiology and so much more. And it's certified ingredients, of course. And, everything that we build for you in terms of a product is meticulously sourced. And one of the most difficult products to source is actually vitamin D3. It's extremely difficult because it turns out in the supply chain, almost all vitamin D has a bunch of sort of unnamed ingredients in it. And that's what our sourcing people found after a couple of years of trying to source a clean version of vitamin D3 that we finally found and nailed and put it in the formula and did all the lab testing and certification. So now it's available. So this synergistic combination, if you think about natural bone support, for example, or you think about the fact that so many people may not have sufficient levels of vitamin D for just optimal health and immune support and many other reasons to have vitamin D levels, this product can help you supplement that. And so it's available now, healthrangerstore.com, vitamin D3 plus K2 with Aquaman, 60 capsules available, shipping right now while supplies last. And in this environment where global supply chains are getting wrecked, if this is something you want, get it now while we have supplies, because it's becoming more difficult and more expensive to source literally everything at this point. So anyway, thank you for your support. You can also find many other products, of course, hundreds of different products at healthrangerstore.com, including storable food. And right here we have our organic powdered chicken bone broth in a number 10 can, our turmeric root powder, and so much more. We've got so many amazing products for you to choose from, including tinctures, superfoods, storable foods, as well as freeze-dried fruits and vegetables in sealed number 10 cans. That's great for long-term storage. Plus we have iodine, and that's a product that's moving very quickly because of concerns about, global nuclear war, unfortunately. But you can find all of this. It's all laboratory tested. It's all certified. It's all meticulously sourced at healthrangerstore.com. And yeah, there we go. That's what the vitamin D3 looks like there. Thank you for supporting us, because we need your support in order to fund our platform. And so we can keep bringing you amazing interviews and content and free AI tools for knowledge and so much more. So thank you for supporting us. I'm Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, for healthrangerstore.com.